But the battle for Arizona's open U.S. Senate seat, one of two prime Democratic pickup opportunities, could do more than decide control of the world's greatest deliberative body, where Republicans currently rule by a single, precarious vote. It could also answer this cycle's most pressing political question: how do candidates from both parties solve a problem like Donald Trump? The contenders vying to replace retiring Republican Senator Jeff Flake are all characters in their own right. On the GOP side, there's a fighter pilot turned Congresswoman, Representative Martha McSally, an osteopath turned right-wing rabble-rouser, former State Senator Kelly Ward, and America's most notorious immigration hardliner, former Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio. And on the left, the likely Democratic nominee, Representative Kristen Sinema, is not only the first openly bisexual member of Congress, she's also the most bipartisan Democrat in the House. As they jockey for advantage, all of these candidates are positioning themselves vis-a-vis Trump in ways that defy national assumptions, making the contest a counterintuitive and revealing testing ground, where the new realities of running for office in the age of Trump are being worked out in real time. When Flake, a vocal Trump critic, bowed out last October, polls showed he could not defeat Ward, his resolutely pro-Trump opponent. The question seemed to be settled. It wasn't until Ward attracted two challengers of her own in early 2018 that a new narrative began to emerge. The first to announce was Arpaio. If Ward aspires to be Trump in miniature, she endorses his entire agenda, from building the border wall to halting Muslim immigration to repealing Obamacare to ending sanctuary cities. Then Arpaio promises to out-Trump Trump himself. A former U.S. Army soldier, police officer, and DEA agent, Arpaio, 85, is most famous for his incendiary 24-year tenure as America's self-styled toughest sheriff. During that time, he made headlines with his round 'em up immigration raids, which contributed, according to the Justice Department, to the worst pattern of racial profiling in U.S. history. His brutal, self-described concentration camp, Tent City, which was designed to alleviate prison overcrowding, and his refusal to investigate alleged child sex crimes. Arpaio seems convinced that his path to victory runs to the right of Ward and even Trump. The president, for instance, has insisted that he wants to protect so-called dreamers, people who immigrated illegally to the U.S. as children. Arpaio says they should be deported. And while Ward and even Trump, a former birther himself, have both affirmed that Barack Obama was, in fact, born in the United States, he was our legitimate president, Ward said in January. Arpaio has hinted that he would revive his groundless crusade to discredit Obama's birth certificate if elected. "I don't talk about it anymore, until I become a U.S. Senator," Arpaio told a group of supporters at the Western Conservative Conference in Phoenix last month. "So, I'm kind of dropping that right now. But, I'm going to tell you something 100%, we proved that's a fake document." To a certain degree, that's what she seems poised to do. One of the highest-ranking female pilots in Air Force history, with a master's degree from Harvard to boot, McSally has twice won her Tucson area swing district, even as Trump lost there to Hillary Clinton. She is the clear favorite of D.C. Republicans, such as Senator Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, and conservative donors, such as the Koch brothers. But what's most striking so far about McSally's run is not how different she sounds than her die-hard pro-Trump opponents. Instead, it's the deliberate effort she's been making to sound more like them, despite her well-documented history of skepticism toward, and even frustration with, the president. Some of their decisions and the way they have implemented them have certainly not been well coordinated, she said of the Trump administration. "I'm concerned about not shifting from campaigning to governing. My friend Martha McSally, she's the real deal," Trump says on screen. "She's tough. Like our president, I'm tired of PC politicians and their BS excuses," McSally adds. "I'm a fighter pilot, and I talk like one." In recent interview with the New York Times, McSally went so far as to claim that Trump is role model who has done a lot of amazing things in his life. "Sure, absolutely," she said when asked if she would campaign with Trump in the general election. I have a great relationship with the president. According to reports, Trump will effectively boost McSally's chances by declining to endorse in the primary, even though Ward was an early supporter and Arpaio received Trump's first presidential pardon. Not a continuous, 2,000-mile border wall, no, she added during a town hall with constituents the following month. But now McSally insists that she has always supported building a wall, a clear shift from her earlier, more nuanced position. The Trumpification of Martha McSally is born of the fact that GOP primary voters still adore Trump, and in Arizona, they've always demanded a particularly hard line. Even Senator John McCain, a longtime proponent of comprehensive immigration reform, barked about completing the Dunghead fence in a 2010 primary ad. But it's also worth noting that unlike, say, Utah, Arizona is no longer a reliably red state. In 2012, Mitt Romney won there by 9 percentage points. 4 years later, Trump only managed to squeak past Hillary Clinton by 3. The broader population looks less and less like the aging, lily-white GOP primary electorate, and it is increasingly dominated by two groups that especially dislike Trump: moderate, well-educated suburbanites clustered in the booming Phoenix metropolitan area, and Latinos, who now represent a fast-growing 31% of the state's residents. Trump is not a thing, Sinema insisted when the Arizona Republic asked about her message. He's not a part of what I think my constituents are worried about or think about. Nor, she added, is partisanship. It's not about a party, Sinema said. It never is about party. It's about putting people ahead of party. I don't think party matters much to people. More recently, Sinema told the New York Times that she and Trump worked together very well on veterans issues and sidestepped questions about his character. This sort of no-labels talk has a long history on the campaign trail, and with no major primary competition, Sinema has the luxury of targeting the moderate voters that McSally and co. are ignoring, independents and suburban, college-educated Republicans who are turned off by Trump but aren't particularly turned on by the resistance. Ultimately, then, the bet Sinema is making isn't all that different from McSally's. And on the left, it will demonstrate how far moderate Democrats can go in resisting the anti-Trump resistance without squandering what could be their greatest asset in November, a highly motivated base. Sinema's assumption is that while Arizona progressives may be unsatisfied, they won't really refuse to show up and vote in the one contest that could, more than any other, help them achieve their existential goal of halting Trump's agenda in its tracks. The irony is that if McSally winds up winning the GOP nod and joining Sinema in the center, the general election could become an essentially Trumpless battle. Despite our national fixation with the disruptor-in-chief, Arizona might reveal a surprising new on-the-ground reality, that in the very closest contests, where the middle matters most, both parties are better off simply pretending Trump doesn't exist. Sinema's advantage may be that, while McSally has to hug the president tighter and tighter, she gets to start ignoring him right now.